Okay, cool. Hey everyone, my name is Bree and I'm an alcoholic. Uh, Thank you, Mary, for asking me to do this. It's a little short. I don't even know where I'm going with that, but it was last minute, but it's kind of cool because I really have been slacking on my meetings lately, and I don't really know why. I've just been kind of going through this period of like stagnation where I am having a hard time staying focused. So this was definitely something that I needed. So thank you. I guess I'll just start. Um, Probably the first time that I ever drank alcohol. I don't even know around what age it was, but I remember I went to like Panama City with my family, and they were sitting on the beach, drinking some Coronas or some shit. I don't even know what it was, and they were just drinking beer, and I really wanted to try it, and I tried it and it was disgusting and I spit it back out and I was like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. So yeah, that didn't really go over that well because here I am. Um, so fast forward, I think the first time that I ever actually got drunk, I was probably 15. And I remember my sister, well, I have two sisters. I have a younger one, I have an older one. The older one is, I guess she was probably 20 or so, or maybe she was dating a guy that was older than her, so she could get alcohol. So she went to the liquor store, or I guess a gas station, and got me like a 6 pack of those strawberries or something. And I remember I drank every single one of them, and I was shit faced in my room, and I loved it. It was great. Like it felt like this person inside of me that had been hiding could finally come free. Like I have a real hard time. Like I'm not very good at like socializing even now. And I'm a very shy person. Like if someone talks to me, I'll talk to them, but like most of the time I just kind of sit in silence and um people think I'm kind of rude for that and I don't mean to be. I just it's just how I am. Most of the time I either have so much going on in my head and I just don't know what to say exactly or I just don't have anything that I want to add. So drinking alcohol for the first time allowed me to be more charismatic or, just be fun, or so I thought, anyways. Um, so I did that a couple more times, but then I started to primarily just smoke a lot of weed. Like I was a big pothead um, for a good 10 years, I want to say. Um, and then I went through this really bad breakup. You know how it is with first loves, and you think you're going to be together forever and it was horrible. Very traumatic experience. And so I kind of just it was easier for me to get weed then because the guy I was dating sister sold it. And so it was I could literally just go in the room next door and I need weed. There we go. But once we broke up and I kind of moved out, that kind of ended. So I primarily started to drink more because it's easier to access. It's everywhere. Um, so yeah, I was probably about 20 at this point and started getting really shit faced, blackout drunk every single time I drank. There was no stopping that. Like once I drank, it went until I passed out. And I'll just say that went on for years and years and years. And it caused me to not only like it stopped becoming fun. Like I wasn't really charismatic anymore. I was really angry and kind of violent, and people don't really want to be around that. Because it started off really nice, but it always ended terribly with getting in fist fights or like like going to jail or just something like that. Um, there's been a few times that I've been to jail for just being a drunken asshole. Um, um, let's see. I think I got my first DUI. I was actually 20 when I got my first DUI, and I had also taken, like, some Xanax, and I drank. Horrible combo. I don't even remember, but, like, I was driving, um I couldn't even tell you where I was driving because it's kind of blurry still. Like, I remember that I was leaving my mom's house, um, because I went there at first, just a drunken mess. I just wanted somewhere to stay, and I was just acting a fool, and I told her I was just gonna leave, and she begged me not to go, and I still left, and not even 30 minutes later, I'm getting taken to jail for a DUI. I do remember that I think I, like, ran into the back of someone's car. I don't think it was very hard, but I remember I was kind of I think I was sitting at, like, a red light, and it turned green, and I think I passed out for, like, a split second, and when I came back to, I was going, and the person in front of me was not going, and so, obviously, I hit them, and so I went to jail. Yay. And so I got back out about at that time, it was 8 hours in the drunk tank. So after 8 hours, my mom comes and bails me out, and I told her, "It's not gonna happen again. I'm sorry, yada yada," all the stuff. Um, and so, I have to go to court not too long after, and they give me my fines, and I have to go to these, it's called, like, the WINGS program. It's kind of like AA, but it's just a little different. Like, it's like a program, and they make you do, like, these test booklets and watch videos and stuff like that, and you have to go to a certain amount, and they drug test you, and so I had to do that for a while, and I did do that, and my mom basically paid for the entire first DUI, um, and at the time, obviously, I wasn't thankful for that. Thinking back on it now, I am eternally grateful that I have a mother that actually helped me do that because I know that not everyone has parents that do that, and I'm just grateful for that. But at the time, obviously, being a spoiled fucking brat that I was, um, I took advantage of that situation, and she would give me money to go pay my fines, and I got it down to $350, and she gave me the last 350. And I remember I called the courthouse, and they weren't open, or they said to just come back the next day. And naturally, I didn't go back the next day. I just took that $350 and bought whatever the hell I wanted, which was clothes, food, and alcohol and drugs. And that's what I spent it on. And a little bit of time goes by and I go back for the final court date and she's there with me. And, he calls my name and I go up there and oh God, I'll never forget the look on her face. And it's really not funny. It's really horrible. But like the look on her face when he said that I still owe $350, I think if looks could kill, I would be fucking dead because she looked at me with daggerish eyes, like it was really bad. And so she paid it, and she's like, "You better not ever do this fucking shit again." And I was just like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I won't." So I lied, not even realizing I'm lying because I'm an alcoholic, and I didn't realize that I am an alcoholic, and I have absolutely no control over what I do after I put one drink in me, even a drop, not even well, maybe a couple drops, but still, it doesn't matter. After I get a taste of it, I want more. Um, so the drinking went on, and I think after that, 6 months later, I got another DUI. Um, and this time, my mom was pretty much, done with helping me. She did not want any part of it. My license got suspended. She wasn't going to help me. And when I went to jail the second time, um, I had probably drank 2 or 3 beers, and I think I blew over a .02 over the legal limit, so I was really pissed off because I had went to, football is big in the South, I don't know where it is, how it is for where everybody else is at, but the Southerners love their football, their beer, and anything fried, and that's just how it is. Um, I hate to stereotype it, but that's really what it is. Um, so I was up in Auburn University. They were having like the big Auburn, and I think it might have been, it was either Georgia or Alabama, but it was a huge football game. There were people everywhere. I remember I went to jail and I wasn't even my level drunk that I would like to have been. And I was so pissed off and I just blamed everything else but the fact that I'm an alcoholic. I was just like, well, I wasn't even that drunk, Mom. And she's just like, all right, bye. So after, now it's 12 hours, it's not 8 hours. So after 12 hours in the drunk tank, I get out and I have some friends come and get me. And, my license is suspended again. And I just got into a really bad state of just depression and not caring about anything. The only thing that I cared about was getting drunk again the next night, the next day. And it quickly developed into drinking every single day. The first thing I would do was to wake up and drink. I had alcohol sitting beside my bed. Um, I liked brandy, but, I'll just say towards the end, it didn't really matter what it was. As long as it was alcohol, we're good. Didn't matter. But at that point in my life, I really liked brandy. Um, and so, going out not just every weekend, but drinking every single day hardcore and dabbling in with a little bit of cocaine. Thankfully, I didn't get addicted to the cocaine. I don't know how I didn't, but that shit is no joke either because I've seen it take a lot of good people down through some horrible shit. I think almost as bad as alcohol, if not worse, just because it's extremely expensive for it's just okay, anyways. But but yeah, so it was I dabbled in a lot of different stuff, but I always would blame the other drugs for why I was acting the way I was acting. I'd say, "Oh, well, I can't take pills and drink. Oh, well, the cocaine just makes me want to drink more." And I like to smoke weed when I drink. That's like a really good combo. And so I didn't really stop that, but I started blaming all these different things for why I would drink like I did, and I would try to make sure I ate, make sure I drank a lot of water. Um, Maybe sometimes I'd make myself throw up so I'd be okay and I could go drink some more. And that's just what I did. I really, really tried to manage it and say that I was okay, not even really understanding at the time what an alcoholic even is. When someone would describe to me what an alcoholic is, and I mean no offense if this is anybody, but for me, I really thought that an alcoholic was somebody that was, begging for change at like a gas station with just a brown paper bag and living under a bridge. And for some people that I've met in AA, that is what it did come to, but that's not how it started out. And it took me coming to AA to realize that everybody's rock bottom looks a little bit different. I mean, but we all feel the same on the inside, that hopelessness, that despair, and that feeling of just wanting to give up and not go on. And I think that's how we all can relate, is that similar pain, um, and sometimes shared experiences. Um, so yeah, after doing that for years, um, I get into another relationship, and he did not like that I drank. And at first he didn't realize how bad it was, and then he did realize how bad it was very, very quickly, and I had to choose between him or the alcohol. And I think that I'm extremely codependent on people, like relationship wise, because I will entirely rely on them for my happiness, and I will give up everything that I care about and that I love about to make them happy and to try to seek that same happiness from them. So it's like it's a huge problem for me, but that's just what I did. And so I did stop drinking, and it's kind of hard at first because at that time I was kind of sick, but after about a week, um the withdrawals kind of went away. Not really, but it wasn't as bad. So after a few months of not drinking, I was starting to feel a lot better. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But I was just really, really fucking angry all the time. Um, and really, really short-tempered. Um, just royally pissed off 24/7. Um, so there would be times when we would be arguing, and the first thing that I did was go and get drunk, and that always makes the situation better, clearly. Um, and it really didn't. It made things a hell of a lot worse. And after about 2 years of being in that relationship and it just, didn't work out. And yeah, that ended about in 2022, I guess. Yeah, I think so. Beginning of 2022, probably like February. Anyways, um, and so I'm finally ready to go and get my license back after not having it for 4 years. I went 4 years with having a suspended license, driving around and drinking and being an absolute mess. And that's just what I did. But I was finally decided that I was ready to get my license back and actually, try to go hold down a job because I could never hold down a job when I was getting drunk and high all the time. I didn't give a shit about that job. And I didn't have any real responsibilities because and I love my mother, but she was an enabler and she always was there to save me in situations like that. So I didn't really have any consequences. And I recognize that now. She was just trying to be a good mom. It's not her fault. And I don't blame her, but it was also enabling in a sense. And I try really hard now not to ask her for anything because I feel like she's done so much for me. And it's just, anyways, moving on. So yeah, I decided to go back to court, and I think at this time, I think they might have sent out like stimulus checks a few years ago, and I think I might have finally got one at some point, and I used that money to go pay off my court fines, and then I was court ordered to go to AA. And at that time, I had just started hanging out with Colby, and he had a few years sober at that point. I think August was his 2 years. So at that point, it was like, mm, I want to say March or May, one of them's. But anyways, so yeah, I asked him if he would go with me because I was really nervous about going to an AA meeting. Didn't think I was an alcoholic still because at that point I wasn't drinking every day anymore, and I thought that I had it under control because I wasn't drinking every day. And after going, I started to hear a lot of similarities, but I still wanted to kind of separate myself from them. Like it was a them thing. Like it's just how it was. And I don't necessarily think I was better. I just didn't think that I was that bad because I still noticed similarities, but I also noticed the differences and I looked for the differences. And I would say to myself, oh, I didn't do anything that bad, or wow, like I don't, yeah, I really just tried to tell myself and lie to myself that I wasn't an alcoholic. And, I started going to the AA meetings, and then in about July, I found out that I was pregnant. And so, naturally, well, thankfully, I'll say, not everybody does this either, and it's no judgment to them either, but I didn't drink and I stopped drinking. And, a couple months go by and I'm really happy. I'm really excited. And at this point, I almost have 3 months sober. And then at 7 weeks, I miscarried and I was devastated. Um, I don't think that anyone ever really, I don't know how people really cope with it because I still haven't. It's just, it really hurt because, I have friends that also have kids and they got pregnant and on their first pregnancy had their babies, and I couldn't do that. So I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I really thought that there was something wrong with me and that it just wasn't meant to be. And so I was really sad again, and naturally I relapsed. And I hadn't worked any steps. I didn't really reach out to anybody. I had no support system. And it's my fault because plenty of people, tried, and I just didn't, because I shut people out and I self-isolate because in my mind, it's easier to just be by yourself than to be around other people because that way you don't get hurt. But that loneliness is really crippling. It's horrible. Um, so yeah, I relapsed and I think I drank one more time after that. And not long after, I found out that I was pregnant again. So I was a busy bee, I guess. But yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Um, so yeah, I found out that I was pregnant again, and it's kind of interesting in a way. It's kind of crazy in a way, actually. There is a certain, hormone that when you take pregnancy tests, that hormone pops up. And so after you miscarry, it takes about 9 weeks for that hormone to go away. And I still was feeling just different. And that's when I went back to the doctor and I asked him to take the blood test. And they said, well, that certain hormone, I cannot remember the name of it, is really high. And so they took me to get an ultrasound, and boom, there's a whole baby in there. So I don't drink that entire pregnancy. And in June of 2023, I had my daughter. And, at first I'm really happy. I'm really excited, really scared, still scared a lot of the time because this is a whole human being that I have to look after and teach and guide. And that's some scary shit. But it's also really rewarding. But anyways, back to the sobriety. I think the postpartum really started to hit for me pretty fast. I think I was probably like a month postpartum, and I start getting extremely just, I mean, depressed. Like it was horrible. Like the way that I looked at myself was just disgusting. Like I hated myself. And then also being an alcoholic, like I naturally turned to the only thing that I knew that would make me not have to feel. And so I went really, really hard in that for a few months. And it was just horrible. Like it was just, passing out drunk, trying to give a baby a bottle, and just a whole bunch of stuff that I'm really not proud of that I did. And I didn't drive drunk while she was in the car, but I did drive drunk and I endangered other people's lives and maybe someone else's kids. And I'm not proud of that either. And I think about that a lot. And knowing what my partner went through with him driving drunk, and it was really selfish. And it's just alcoholism, and I think its purest form is just that selfishness and not caring about anybody else. And yeah, it was probably the worst of it. Those few months before I decided to come back to AA, and it just got to the point where I absolutely did not want to be alive anymore. And while I was too chicken shit to actually do anything about it, I just hoped that I wouldn't wake up the next day. I It was horrible. And I think the last time that I drank, I had also hit like a dab pen or one of those weed pens. I don't know if you know what those are, but I hit one of those and I was tore up from the floor up. And I hadn't really smoked any kind of weed in like over a year because I was getting drug tested pretty much throughout the pregnancy. Um, because of the AA stuff and then the court referral program that I was in. So I really hadn't smoked in like a year, over a year actually. And so I just hit one because fuck it, why not? And I did, and I just remember sitting here and I was crying, the baby was crying and screaming, and I just had like a moment where I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I just can't keep going on like this. And it was really weird because I don't want to say it was like an out of body experience because it wasn't trippy like that, but it was kind of like it was just like I was just looking at my life playing out, and I just didn't like the outcome of it and how she would end up and how I would end up, and I was just like, no, I can't do that." So, I decided the very next day to go to AA, and I've been sober since, and that was October 26th of 2023, so a little over 4 months now. Um, I will say that I feel a ton better. Like, I just feel a lot, I mean, healthier, obviously. Like, I'm not constantly having hangovers and constantly just feeling sick and, being bloated because I drank way too much alcohol the night before. And so physically, it's much better. Even mentally, it's a lot better than it was. Like, but I will say that even in this period right now of my life where I just feel really stagnant, I have to look back on how far I've come and realize that it's so much better than what it was. I mean, things aren't exactly perfect right now, but I just have to understand that not every day is going to be perfect and amazing, and that's okay. And I'm okay. I am okay. I feel sad sometimes still, and some days it's harder than other days, but I am happy that I'm sober and I have the support group. Life is a whole lot better when you're not drunk and fucking high all the time. And I just want to say that while I do personally have the higher power thing, I think that this is amazing. I think secular is awesome. I can't tell you how many people I've seen go into traditional and walk right back out because of the whole higher power thing. And it's just, I wish I would have known about this sooner because I feel like that could have saved so many people. This is really fucking awesome. I think y'all are a great group of people, and I really love these meetings. So thank you for letting me share. And so with that, I'm going to shut up.